Yo, we just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.
Ladies and gentlemen, your host, your boy George Mackay, Straight Talk Wrestling, back here again, and I got a good one. I got a living legend. 27 years in professional wrestling, and he is the self-anointed, anyways, king of TNA. Please help me welcome to Straight Talk Wrestling for the first time, Frankie Kazarian. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for that incredible introduction, man. Word legend is that's a lot to live up to, man. So I'll do my best. Hope not to disappoint.
Listen, honestly and truly, 27 years in this sport, this business that, it's a love hate kind of relationship. And if you're a true pro wrestling fan or a true pro wrestling aficionado, you can't talk about the sport of pro wrestling without mentioning Frankie Kazarian. You can't talk about TNA Impact without mentioning Frankie Kazarian. When you kind of see yourself as someone who is synonymous with TNA for the majority of your career, how special is it that you and TNA have that relationship, that romance, if you will?
It's really cool, man. You know, when I was a kid, I dreamed about being a pro wrestler. I didn't know there was a paycheck attached to this. There was no initials on the ring skirt. I was just in my mind, I was out there wrestling. I didn't know where my career was going to take me if I was even going to have a career. So, to come up when I did and to be part of TNA from the very beginning, through a lot of ups and downs, and to be back there the last 3 years and to see the success we're having now, it's cool. And I wear being a TNA OG like a badge of honor, and I'm the guy out there flying the flag for this company. I've put in more time there than any other company I've performed in, and like I'm a TNA guy, and I'm very very honored to be a TNA original. There's only two of us left still doing it, myself and Eric Young, and it's just really cool looking back all the things I've done and being there from the very genesis of this company to see where we're at right now. It's really cool. It's really humbling.
It absolutely is. I mean, considering that TNA literally has been one of those companies people are like, oh, they're not going to survive. They're not going to survive. And yet they have every time survived, flourished like a phoenix. Really is the phoenix of pro wrestling. Keeps coming back and keeps evolving and getting better. And when I look
Yeah.
at your body of work in TNA, and I also look at some of the people that from TNA have gone on to have flourishing careers at other organizations, one name is synonymous with Frankie Kazarian, and that is AJ Styles. And I know AJ has mentioned quite recently that if he were to come back during this promotional crossover between TNA and WWE, that there's only one person in TNA he'd like to go one-on-one with again. And that, sir, is you. So when the phenomenal AJ Styles mentioned your name, how cool was that for you?
Yeah, I had a lot of people. My social media was pretty active that day. I was at WrestleCon that day, so a lot of people were coming up and telling me that. That's how I first heard it, actually. And yeah, I mean, look at AJ Styles. I may be biased, but for my money, he's still the best pro wrestler on planet Earth. The guys, and I'm not just saying that because he's one of my best friends. The guy, his body of work speaks for itself. He's had amazing success literally everywhere he's gone. Starting with TNA, when his time in Ring of Honor, his time in New Japan, and certainly WWE, and he's become one of the biggest stars in the world, and rightfully so. Uh, if that opportunity ever presents itself, my name's already signed on the dotted line. There's not even a question. And I think it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Uh, AJ is very big about giving back. He knows his roots, where he came from. And I think AJ wants this for the TNA audience, the ones that have been there since the beginning, that have supported him and that have supported TNA. I know I certainly want it. If he's going to come back, I don't know of a better story to tell than AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian one more time. Uh, I think everybody's really pulling for it. So I'm trying to will it into existence myself. AJ knows my stance on it. TNA knows my stance on it. You know, once those uh, once those cards fall and everybody's on board to do this, I think it's going to happen. Like I said, it's a matter of when. But I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it.
Well, so are the fans, believe me. I'm a
Yeah,
TNA OG myself, and I am all for that. Frankie Kazarian
awesome.
and AJ Styles one more time. An OG TNA fan like me, I mean, 100% I'm all for that. Let's switch gears for a second now. I want to switch gears to your director of authority, Santino Marella, and how much of a thorn in your side he has been as of late. So much so that he's found a way to insert another returning former member of the TNA Impact roster, and Ethan Page, into your Rebellion main event on April 27th. You won the Call Your Shot gauntlet. You were going to call your shot that day. And now, not only do you have to deal with Joe Hendry, now you also have to deal with Ethan Page. When a match presents itself and switches gears like that, how does somebody like Frankie Kazarian now have to prepare for two opponents?
Oh, look at one thing I've learned is to not really sweat anything, and it's pro wrestling, and it's the craziest business on earth, and anything can change at the drop of a hat, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks. I wasn't prepared for an Ethan Page to be in the picture, but and I might not like how he got involved, but I got to respect how he went about it. He's an opportunist the same way that I am, and he brings a lot to the table. He's a very bright guy, incredible wrestler, great skill set. Another guy that bet on himself and is showing the world what he's made of. Uh, so, as soon as that was made official, I began preparing for Ethan Page and Joe Hendry, two completely different wrestlers, but they both bring a very impressive body of work and skill set uh, to the match this Sunday at Rebellion. And yeah, Santino, once I am TNA World Champion, my first one of my first things that I would like to do is get rid of Santino because he has not been kind to the king. Let's just say that, or we'll see, or maybe have him replaced, or maybe have him have him repositioned, repurposed. Like we always need help setting up the ring. We always need help serving catering. I think Santino would be much better suited doing those jobs as opposed to being the director of authority.
Wow. I didn't know the TNA World Champion had swag like that. I guess when you are the world champion, you can
He will when I become champion. Right now, he doesn't, but when I'm champion, things are going to change. Let's just say that.
100%. Speaking of the current reigning defending TNA World Champion, Joe Hendry has been all over the place. Had his moment at WrestleMania, then also appeared at NXT. With all the promo that Joe Hendry's running, do you think he really has time to stop and train and soak in and prepare for this match on April 27th, or are you going to be using all this press tour that he's on to his advantage, to your advantage?
Well, I mean, I think Joe, honestly, the last year has been a busy one for Joe. He's, uh, despite how I feel about him personally, I respect his hustle. I respect his willingness to get the TNA brand out there, and he is, he's been running hard for a year, and so I think Joe can handle that in terms of that type of pressure and always being on and always, being pulled in a lot of different directions. This week's been a huge one for him. We had the match on Thursday. He showed up at WrestleMania, unbelievably. He showed up at NXT. Um, but having said that, I don't think he has enough gas in the tank to hang with Frankie Kazarian. Joe's wildly popular. He's got a lot of people on his side, but when it comes down to it, I'm the better wrestler, and I'm going to prove that this Sunday.
I love the confidence. I've always appreciated your confidence, Frankie, and your ability. You know exactly what you're capable of. Now, when it comes to Sunday, and also the fact that you mentioned Joe crossing over to NXT, and obviously NXT star Ethan Page crossing back over to TNA, is there a chance that maybe, win or lose, Frankie Kazarian may cross over to NXT? And if you would, who would you like to, I guess, go one-on-one with from that NXT roster?
Well, I'll tell you this: the time I did appear at NXT, I very much enjoyed it. They treated me very kindly. They rolled out the red carpet for me. It's good to see a lot of friends, a lot of old coworkers, a lot of the trainers there who I've known for literally decades. But it'd be good to look into the eyes of a former coworker, Ricky Saints, guys like that, guys that have some gold. There's a lot of phenomenal talent over there. But at this point, I'm going straight to the top. So I'm going to be looking at that upper echelon, the guys that have the gold around their waist.
Again, I love it. I love the confidence, and I kind of knew that's where your answer was going to be. Now, I do have to ask you this. In terms of the partnership with WWE and how successful it has been on both sides, would you have imagined this years ago? This partnership being even happening or being as successful as it has been?
No, and I've said this before. All of this is so new that, like, the fan that's only been watching for the last 5 years, they may think this is normal, but I cannot stress enough how crazy. If you would have told somebody in 2005, 20 years ago, that someday not only would TNA stars somewhat regularly be on WWE programming and vice versa, but the TNA World Champion would be at WrestleMania, they would have laughed you out of the building. Pro wrestling and pro wrestling companies historically were very closed off. You worked one place and that was it. And then when you were done there, you went to another place, but you never went somewhere while you were under contract. It just did not happen. I always say I was a fan of comic books growing up, and this is DC and Marvel in one comic book. So, you know, fans my age or fans that have been watching or participating as long as I have, they get it, but newer fans don't understand. I just hope they appreciate what they're witnessing because it's really cool, man. I can imagine myself being a young kid watching and seeing a Joe Hendry show up, seeing Frankie Kazarian show up at NXT. It opens so many doors and so many possibilities. If there's one thing that wrestling fans love, it's surprises. And they've gotten a lot of them. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's currently helping the business grow in popularity.
Absolutely. And what's great is that it's almost like right now, especially with the acquisition of AAA by WWE, that now
Yeah.
anybody can appear anywhere. And we've even got AAA stars going to be appearing at Rebellion. You got Vikingo in that, X Division Championship match. So it's going to be incredible. That's one of my favorite matches. You yourself have competed in that kind of a match. And let me tell you, I mean, how cool is it to compete in that match? Not only compete in that match, but be as successful as you have been in that match.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the very, very first Ultimate X match. So again, my name will always be synonymous with that match because I was in the very first one and I've been in a lot of them and I have a lot of very, kind of high profile highlight reel moments of my career are because of the Ultimate X match. Yeah, I'm one of the guys that kind of helped make that match, along with, the AJ Styles and the Motor City Machine Guns and the Christopher Daniels, certainly all those guys. Uh, but it's a cool match. It's one of my opinion, it's the coolest original concept match that we've had in the last 25 years. And to see it still going strong is again, it's like seeing one of my children succeeding in the real world, seeing the Ultimate X match become the spectacle that it is, and to see it. There's guys now that grow up and aspire to be in those matches, and I was there at the very first one when it was just these little humble beginnings in the asylum in Nashville. So it's cool. And fans that have never seen an Ultimate X match live, if you're on the fence about going to Rebellion, go because it's something you'll not see anything like it anywhere else. Believe me on that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. The Ultimate X match is one of my favorite matches. And it is, you're right, it is synonymous with TNA and it is very, very authentic in its own staple in pro wrestling, much like the casket match or the buried alive match was synonymous in WWE. These type of
Right.
matches truly become special, almost to the point where you could, like you said, have a vicarious highlight reel of all the amazing moments and stars that have been in that X Division
Sure.
match. But now I want to switch gears back to the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. You went through 19 other individuals to grab that title, winning that, knowing that it was literally a contract title shot in your hands at any time. Was Rebellion always the plan for you to cash in? Or were there other opportunities where you were thinking about and you just weren't sure on the timing?
I mean, I may have gotten Joe's head and teased a couple moments where people might have thought, but as soon as I saw this date on the calendar late last year, as soon as I saw April 27th, LA, USC, that kind of like got the wheels turning, and I was like, I think the stars are aligning. I think that's the day to do it. SoCal, we don't, this is the first time TNA's been in SoCal in over a decade. And it just made sense to me. It just made sense. I'm in the long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm into working smart as opposed to working hard all the time. So I saw this date and I said, let's do it in SoCal. That way, selfishly, it'll be a full circle moment for me. Uh, be a big pay-per-view event out here. And I'm like, let's announce it to the world that I'm going to do it in SoCal in my backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I honestly think that you've had a lot of success in your backyard. So there's no strain of possibility that you may come out on top. Actually, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say you are going to come out on top because you're the king and you deserve to have that recognition. You know, you're
Oh,
also coming to my backyard in May. You'll be in Brampton, Ontario, Canada. That's where I live. That's where I rep. And it would be pretty cool to see the king of TNA rocking that world heavyweight strap in Brampton, Ontario. That'd be pretty all right, eh?
yeah, I have I have a lot of family up in Canada. I really very much enjoy Canada. I like going there. I would love to go up there and defend the world title so I could be a world champion and defend it in multiple countries. And excited to bring TNA back up to Canada. We haven't been there in a while, so it'll be good to go to be back. Kind of a newer area for us too in Brampton, and that'll be good. I'm really curious to see the reaction and the turnout ever since, I don't know if we've been up there since the Sportsnet one deal happened, but I know that was very big for our company. So I want to see how that transcends and how that translates into live attendance, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think those shows are going to be pretty spectacular. I think people are excited for us to be there. I'm certainly excited to go back and be representing at that time the company as world champion.
Absolutely. And there's no doubt in my mind that there will be a very big attendance because, like you said, the Sportsnet deal up here has put more eyes on the product and it's made it easier for fans like myself to watch it, keep up with it on a weekly basis. And yeah, I can't wait to see you and all of the amazing roster that TNA has because it truly is a very special, special locker room. Frankie, before you go, I mean, there's nothing else I could do but ask the king of TNA if he would just look in the camera, give me that Frankie Kazarian energy and say, hey, I just had a pretty cool conversation with Straight Talk Wrestling, and you should subscribe.
Hey, it's Frankie Kazarian, the king of TNA, and I just had a pretty damn cool conversation with Straight Talk Wrestling. And you should subscribe. You know what? You will subscribe. You better subscribe.
I love it. That's right. The
I,
king of TNA says you subscribe. Damn it, people, you subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting down with, again, a living legend, a future Hall of Famer, 100% Frankie Kazarian. Good luck this Sunday. I hope the stars align and you're able to hoist that championship in your own backyard. As always, guys, I'm your host, your boy, George Mackay. This has been Straight Talk Wrestling. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Yo, we just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shoreline. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.